Testing. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Talk of the Devil main league. This is the start of their season, and it will be a full qualifying session and a full race distance. You are listening to Ivan Allen Dalport. I will be your commentator this evening as we get the first round of the season 2019 underway. We are just waiting for a couple of the guys to join in on the lobby. As we take a look down the list, we've got the two South Africans, Winterish Owl and Gary Braddon, Winterish Owl also being known as Willem. Ladies and gentlemen, you are more than welcome to have a chat with me via the stream chat, and I will try and get to any questions or any statements being put on the chat. As you can see, we have 15 people within the lobby at the moment. So as we are waiting for the drivers to join the lobby, we will take a quick rundown on the settings for the race. So as you can see, the category is the F1 2019 cars. It is a full qualifying session consisting of 18, 15 and 12 minutes, being quali 1, quali 2 and quali 3, quali 3 being the shootout, determining where the drivers will, or the top 10 will be placed on the grid. The race distance is 100%. The car performance is placed on realistic. Starting grid is according to the qualifying. Safety car is active. Collisions is active. Vehicle damage seems to be on reduced, as we would like to try and get most of the guys to finish the race. Weather is on dynamic. That will play a big role in the league, as drivers will have to make sure that they've got a dry setup and a wet setup for all the races. Parfum is on. Corner cutting is regular. Car setup is full. Ghosting is off, so therefore no cars will be ghosted. Flag rules and flags are on, and the race starts are on manual. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just waiting for the drivers to enter the lobby, and from there on we will start with qualifying 1. And this is for the Talk of the Devil main league, season opener round 1, Australia. Alright, and the countdown has started for the start of the season. As we can see, a couple of guys now. I streamed the practice session for the start of the qualifying session. I will be discussing a couple of pointers that I saw during the practice session. We also had an interview with Hussein, one of the Alpha drivers, racing season 2. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so as the screen loads up, I can say for sure that the qualifying session is going to be a wet one. So we're in for a real interesting qualifying session tonight, ladies and gentlemen. This is the start of the Talk of the Devil League, round 1 in Australia. You are listening to Ivan, and I will be your commentator for the duration of the qualifying and the race. So we have a few motors starting. Welcome to the Talk of the Devil Main League season opener. This is Quali 1, and we have a Ferrari going out. Which Ferrari would that be? We've got Matt Dixon, who's just come out in the Ferrari, in the Renault. And we've got Agliotis Panagliotis in the Ferrari. I see that both of them have gone for the intermediate tires. And this camera view is horrible. Let's go for an onboard drive with Matt Dixon on his out lap. Very interesting start to the season so far, ladies and gentlemen. This being qualifying 1, and it looks to be a wet quali. The weather being on dynamic. So, ladies and gentlemen, during the practice session that was held a couple of minutes ago, the fastest time set was a 1:22.3, and the slowest time that was set was a 1:27 range. And we see that the Ferrari has definitely gone up ahead. We will then switch over to the Ferrari so that we can get a look at what the Ferrari's pace will be within this wet qualifying session. Me, Ivan, for the season opening qualifying session of the Talk of the Devil League 2019. Lovely circuit, Albert Park, and we will start the flying lap for the Ferrari of Panagliotis, his teammate being Gary Braddon in the sister Ferrari. So we'll take a look at his sector times now. So there is no DRS available when the track is wet, ladies and gentlemen. Tiptoeing around corner 3, corner 4, coming up towards the first sector time, and it looks to be a 1:31.9 for sector 1 of Panagliotis in the Ferrari. Once again, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Talk of the Devil Main League season opener qualifying session. Just a reminder that our sister league, the Academy League, is running at the same time, which is being commentated by Kenzie Retro, my co-commentator for that league this evening. We take a look now into, as Panagliotis gets into sector 3. He does have a Alpha in front of him. Does he get out the way? It might compromise him around the first corner or the last corner. Really getting a drag there by the Alpha. Coming around the line with a 1:36.5. That would have compromised him. We've got Callum that's just done a 1:37.7. Matt Dixon doing a 1:44.6 with the intermediate tires at the moment. It's turning out to be quite an interesting one. Who else do we have on track? We've got Willem coming in 4th place with a 1:38.3, and Gary Braddon in the sister Ferrari in Q1 at the moment doing a 1:36.5. So both Ferraris in the 1:36s. Let's just take a look here. So, at the moment, it is 200ths of a second. Oh, and as I'm talking, we have the System McLaren, which is driven by Steve, or Steven, and he's just done a 136.3. So that is a 200 second faster than Panagliotis in the Ferrari. Gary Braden in the sister Ferrari in third place. And we've got Kieran just behind Gary with 136.8 in fourth place. We have the Mercedes of Callum, the reigning world champion for Talk of the Devil League, in fifth. In sixth place, we have the Toro Rosso of I'm actually not too sure. That could be Jamie. Must be Jamie. James, for everybody, would be called, but likes to be known as Jamie. So we have Jamie sitting in sixth place in the Toro Rosso. We have Caesar in the Racing Point, formerly known as Force India, in seventh place with a 138. We've got Willem in the Williams with a 138.32. Or 138.37, I stand corrected. Matt Dixon sitting in ninth with a 142.1. We have Lee in the sister Toro Rosso with a 145.2. We have Hussein in the Alpha. If you had joined us earlier, we did a live interview with Hussein. His audio unfortunately not coming through very clearly, so we've had to run through his answers during the course of the practice session. We have Lee now in 11th place and Hussein in 10th with a 143.66. We've got Gregor still needing to do set a time, and as I am talking to you, we've got Gary Braden in the Ferrari doing a 136.1 for a good time there in the wet conditions on the intermediate tire. So, things looking quite interesting at the moment. So, the gap between first and second is 0.25 of a second between first and second. Looking very, very interesting for this first qualifying session of the Talk of the Devil League season opener. So we will run down to the bottom two. We do have Kyle in the McLaren on an outlap. We will then ride on board with him as he comes around the last couple of corners to start his flying lap. As we see Gregor in the pit lane. Maybe he's waiting for the track to rubber in. And we will go for an onboard shot as we drive with Kyle. Coming down the straight, finish straight. Coming to the first corner. Nice and gentle through there. Clipping the apex a little bit. corner 2, coming through to where the second DRS zone would be, or the first, but no DRS available on a wet track surface. Gently through to corner 3, corner 4, looking very nice and smooth. Corner 5 in the rain, we do have to lift off a little bit. Corner 6 and 7, nice and gently through there. Keeping it nice and tidy, not hitting the sausage curb there as you turn into the back sweeping left of Albert Park, hitting the far section, sweeping left and sweeping right, corner 11 and 12. Can't do that flat out on a wet surface. And hitting a nice apex there for the right-hander, coming to the second phase of the right-handers, and then hard on the brakes here into the penultimate corner, and then giving yourself a good run on the last corner, coming through down the start finish straight. And Kyle in the McLaren comes across the line with a 1:37.681, and that puts him in 8th place at the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, we only have 14 drivers in this qualifying session, so everyone will go through to qualifying 2. Just to give you a rundown on how the qualifying sessions work, is qualifying 1, if it's a full lobby, the first 5 drivers will then be dropped out. Qualifying 2 is then 15 drivers on the line or on track, which then the top 10 of those 15 will then go through to the shootout, which is 12 minutes long, and that will determine the top 10 places of the grid. And we are on board with Willem at the moment as he comes around the first 2 corners. We will watch his times as he comes to corner 3 and 4. His first sector time being a 1:32.3. He is a 10th up on his time. Sweeping left and sweeping right, corner 12. Been catching quite a few people out during the practice session with a little bit of rain. That corner really catching quite a lot of people out if you take too much curb in the dry, so it's going to be quite a difficult corner in the wet. Hard on the brakes for the penultimate corner, coming around for the last corner, looking nice and smooth there by Willem, and flat out towards the line. What will Willem put out of the bag? Does a 1:37.318. That puts him in 8th place. So we'll just quickly run down the order at the moment with regarding the times. So we've got Gary Braddon setting the pace time at the moment with a 1:35.9. Then we've got Stephen with a 1:36.3. Caesar in 3rd place with a 1:36.5. We've got Panligliotis in the sister Ferrari running at the moment on track. He's at the moment sitting in 4th place with a 136.5. We go then to Jamie in the Toro Rosso with a 136.7. We've got Kieran, who's out on track at the moment in the Red Bull with a 136.8. Callum sitting in 7th with a 137.0. Willem, who just posted a time of 137.3 in 8th. Kyle in the McLaren. Only McLaren running so far tonight with a 137.6. Matt Dixon running with a 139.1. He is out on a outlap with the Inters. We have Gregor. We have Gareth, running with a 139.4. Hussein with a 143.6. Lee doing a 145.2, and still no time set by Gregor in the point racing car. Coming up for less than a minute of qualifying 1. Reminder that all drivers will go through to quali 3, and we will see. And we've got the Red Bull of Kieran doing his flying lap at the moment. Oh, running wide and really just keeping their car under control in the wet conditions. Oh, and he spun into the wall, giving himself some wing damage there, having to abort the lap. Is there any cars on the road that will be interfered by his spin? We've got Lee out on track now, also, which seems to be a flying lap. Ladies and gentlemen, you will also notice that with the new regulations of the rules coming in, the wings not having all those little winglets in the front, and them being 2 meters long from 1.8 meters. So that increasing in size for the new rules. So it is the end of Q1, and the standings at the moment with the teams are the 2 Ferraris sitting in 1st and 2nd. We have a Mercedes-Benz in 3rd, Racing Point in 4th, Toro Rosso in 5th, Red Bull in 6th, the sister Mercedes of Callum running in 7th place, Willem in 8th, Kyle in 9th with the McLaren, Matt with the only Renault running this evening in 10th place, the only Haas running with a 139 in 11th, the sister Toro Rosso in 12th, and the Alpha running in 13th, and no time set by the sister Racing Point. Well, quite an interesting mix there with the first qualifying session being done. This is definitely something that was unexpected from my side regarding the weather conditions for this session. So we are just waiting for Matt to come across the line so that we can see the first timing sheet for Q1 of the Talk of the Devil League, main league for the season opener Season 2. So, just looking at the timesheet, we've got Gary setting the pace time with a 1:35.5. His teammate in the sister Ferrari second, Mercedes in third, Racing Point in fourth, Toro Rosso in fifth. Really interesting dynamic happening with the first session. It's going to be a tough one. I wonder if we're going to be having a wet race. Hopefully for the drivers, it will be a dry session for the race. But for us as spectators, we're hoping to have a wet one. Should see some incidents in the first corner and the first lap. So as we wait for the drivers to start qualifying 2, this will determine essentially what tire they will start on. However, it being wet, the grid will then be able to decide which tires they want to start on. If it is still wet within the start of the race, they will start on the tire they've done the fastest lap time with. So, out on track we have Callum, we have Gary going out in the pit lane, we've got Toro Rosso, we've got a Red Bull, Stephen coming out the pit lane now, we've got Lee coming out, and we have the point racing of Gregor out on track. There is the sister car also for point racing out on track. Willem out on track. Matt out on track. Agliotis having a bit of a situation there. Coming out of the pit lane. The Haas and the McLaren. So it looks as if everybody is out. So we will ride on board. We have a yellow flag in sector 1. We will ride on board here with Callum, who looks to be aborting his... Oh no, everybody's out on an outlap. So the time should start filtering through. So we see here that Jamie is the lead car to start his flying lap. We shall spectate with him. We've got a yellow flags out on sector 3. Someone having a spin. Right, let's do the onboard shot. Coming down towards corner 3. As you can see, we have wet weather conditions. Taking it quite wide in corner 3. Allowing him to position himself really good for corner 4. Give him a good run down corner 5. Gentle on the throttle there for corner 5 into corner 6. Oh, running wide. Does he keep control? Oh, that could definitely lose him some time. Like we said, ladies and gentlemen, it is a tricky condition out on track with the weather at the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second qualifying session of the Talk of the Devil League, main league. Quickly give you a rundown of what's happening with the leagues. We have 3 leagues running under the Talk of the Devil name. We've got the main league, Academy League, and the Extreme One League. Main league and the Academy League, both running full qualifying sessions and full race distances. And then the Extreme One League running on a Sunday is a full qualifying session and 50% distance. So, as Jamie comes through to finish his first lap, does a 1:38.3. Bearing in mind that he did have a bit of an issue. Matt Dixon setting the second time with a... and the times are coming in thick and fast. So we've got Caesar doing setting the time with a 1:37.003. The Red Bull of Gary Braden coming in there with a 1:36.2 to take first place in session or quali 2. So right now we have Ferrari in first, Racing Point in second, and as I say this, we've got Kyle in the McLaren coming in second place with a 1:36.8. So Ferrari, McLaren, Racing Point, Red Bull, Willem doing a 1:37 in the Williams. These wet conditions definitely evening out the field. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, it is a realistic performance league. We're now on board with Jamie, who should do a better time than his first lap, and coming in there with a 1:36.1, taking first position from Gary Braden at the moment. Really good lap there by Jamie. Gary Braden now coming through, doing his second flying lap. We will keep on board with him here, just to see if he improves on his time. Looking good. And he's 0.003 better than his last time. In 7th place, we've got the Renault of Matt Dixon. In 8th place, we have the Haas of Gareth. Callum in 9th. Lee in 10th. And we seem to have Panagliotis coming in 3rd place with a 1:36.4. We've got Stephen, who is now running his car, well, his Mercedes. Oh, and we've got a disqualification. We've got a disqualification for Hussein. So we've definitely got one person out so far of quali 2. We're still following Stephen here. He looks as if he is struggling in these wet conditions. And so we will see him complete his first flying lap. As he comes across the line to do a 1:36.8. Putting him in 4th place at the present moment. So, with the looks of it right now, we've got the reigning champion sitting in 11th place, being threatened to being kicked out of quali 2. We've got Lee in 12th, also in the bottom, and we've got the Racing Point of Gregor, who still has not set a time. He is on a flying lap at the moment. What does his first sector look like? A 1:33.9 or 1:33.3, sorry. As we see here, we've got Stephen doing his second flying lap on the inters. Looking very smooth. Careful not to clip that curb on corner 12. So, from what I see, we've got Callum and Stephen staying teammates for season 2 in the Mercedes-Benz bends. And it looks as if Stephen is happy with that lap at this present moment. Let's go take a look down there. We've got yellows in sector 1. We will ride on board with Callum, who's sitting in 12th place at the moment. He is in that bottom 4 at the present moment of being kicked out in Q2. Just under 4 minutes left of this qualifying session 2 for the Talk of the Devil League main league. This is the opening qualifying session for round 1 of season 2 with the Talk of the Devil League. So Callum coming around the corner, shoot down to the line, and he comes in with a whopping 1:34.7 to take first place at the moment, top of the charts, and that pushes Gareth down into 11th, threatening him to be kicked out of session 2 or qualifying 2. 1:34.7. That is a blistering lap from the reigning world champion. That means, if you look at it, he is 1.373 seconds faster than Jamie in the Toro Rosso at the moment. Wow! Wow, what a lap there by Callum. Gary Braddon on track in the Ferrari. He does seem to be on his outlap. He could also be on a flying lap. I have noticed that the guys are doing 2 laps per tire at the moment. Coming through the sweep. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a wet track, so no DRS is available for the qualifying sessions. Gary Braddon looking very smooth there in the penultimate corner. Does he takes a tight line through the last corner? This is definitely not better than his last time. He's actually 200ths down on his time, but he will then do a second flying lap. Callum with a wonderful 1:34.7, definitely setting the bar for this qualifying session 2. So at the bubble we have Matt Dixon in the Renault, we've got Gareth in the Haas, and we have Lee with the Toro Rosso in 13th, and Hussein being disqualified from the session, so he will definitely not make it through to the shootout. And we have a slow Toro Rosso there, giving way for Gary Braddon, who's on a flying lap. Take a look at the times. Sector 3, we have a yellow flag. Hopefully this does not interfere with Gary Braddon's flying lap. Taking quite a bit of curb there. Sector 1 and 2 yellow flags. That Ferrari does look planted to the ground in the wet conditions there by Gary Braddon. Coming around the final bend, putting his foot to the floor, coming across the line and doing a 1:34.7, taking first position 1:34.754, and then Callum having a 1:34.767. We will take a look at what that means for the gap. That is 1/100th of a second faster than Callum in the Mercedes-Benz. Times, we are now just going for under 20 seconds left of Q2. Matt Dixon is out. Matt Dixon is definitely out of the session. He will not be progressing to the shootout. As we look here, 8 seconds left. Who have we got out on track? We have Kieran, looking like he's pushing the floor of that Red Bull. Only Red Bull running this evening as well. Sporting a blue, predominantly yellow helmet with a red and blue coloring there, matching the car really nicely. As he comes around the final bend, races down to the line and does a 1:35.6. That puts him in third place. So we have Kyle also out on a fast lap. And it looks as if he has pulled out of it. So we have the Renault of Matt not making it through to Q3. We have the Haas not making it through to Q3. And we have Lee in the sister Toro Rosso not making it through to the shootout. Really interesting results there. The two top guys really pushing out the times there. With Gary being in first, topping the timesheet for Q2. Callum topping it, coming in second. The Red Bull of Kieran in third. Pangliotis in the Ferrari in fourth. We've got Jamie in fifth. Willem in sixth in the Williams. Looking really, really good there. The only Williams running as well. So we'll quickly take a look at the timesheets here. We've got a Ferrari in first, Mercedes in second, Red Bull third, Ferrari fourth, Toro Rosso fifth, Williams, Mercedes, McLaren, Racing Point, Renault, Haas, Toro Rosso, and Alfa not making it through to the shootout. Interesting for this Q2 session. Amazing work there by Gary Braden, just pipping Callum by 0.012 of a second between them. Amazing times there for the wet conditions at Albert Park. Ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, there is a stream for the Academy League run same time. And that is being commentated by Kenzie Retro. You can follow him on Twitch. And we are now into Q3, the shootout. It is raining. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Talk of the Devil League, the main league opening qualifying session. This is Q3. It is wet conditions. And this will determine the grid slots for the top 10 drivers. We've got, as we take a look here, it is 2 Mercedes-Benz in the top. We've got the 2 Ferraris. We've got 1 Toro Rosso, 1 Red Bull, 1. We have 1 Racing Point in the session. Seems as if top 5 were taken out, so it looks to be that we've only got 9 running in Q3. I really wonder what happened there with Caesar in the sister Racing Point car. So out of track we've got Callum in the Mercedes, Stephen in the Mercedes, Racing Point. We've got the Racing Point of Gregor. We've got Willem out in the Williams. Really taking that Williams into Q3 by Winter. Really good job there, considering these cars are on realistic performance, but the weather does kind of even things out, keeping it very interesting there. Thank you to the viewers that have tuned in to the stream. I hope you guys are enjoying the qualifiers as much as I am. We've only got 2 guys in the pits at the moment. We shall keep with the Racing Point of Gregor, sporting a black helmet in that car. Taking it quite easy to start this flying lap. Let's do the onboard shot as we come down the straight, start finish straight. Let's get some info on the board here. Oh, running wide in corner 1, having to really sacrifice his pace there. Corner 2, 3, 4. We've got sector 3 yellow flags. So 33.3 for the first sector of Gregor. Oh, generally the guys are really struggling at the moment with these wet conditions. I don't know if you've just joined us, ladies and gentlemen. Callum and Gary Braden definitely setting the pace over these wet conditions. Both of them setting a 1:34 times, and a gap between the two of them of 0.012 of a second. How close can you get in these conditions? It is amazing, amazing work from the two drivers, respective of their teams. So as Gregor comes across the line to do his first flying lap, bearing in mind he did go wide. It's a 1:38.6. That is provisional pole at the moment. We've got Callum coming in now to complete his first flying lap. He does a 1:35.043. That is provisional pole at the present moment. Gary behind them. We've got Panagiotis sitting in second with a 1:35.825. What can Gary Braden pull out of his socks in this first run of quali 3 for him? Matt Dixon has left the session. He must have... and Gary Braden comes in there with a 1:34.54. That is provisional pole at this present moment. So we've got Ferrari first, Mercedes second, Ferrari third, McLaren in fourth with Kyle with a 1:36.9. We've got Willem with a 1:36.9, sitting in fifth place. We've got Gregor with a 1:38. He will definitely have to do a better time on his second time round. We will now see we see that Jamie is out on an out lap. We have Kieran in the Red Bull out lap on an out lap. We have what seems to be the 10th driver back in the lobby of Caesar. Must have had technical issues there. At least he's made it back into the session. So we've got the full top 10 drivers at the moment. Just to take a recap, we have Gary Braden doing a 1:34.5. That is provisional pole at this present time in Q3 for the Talk of the Devil Round 1, Season 2, Australia, Albert Park. So, as Jamie starts his flying lap, we shall stay with him. And he runs wide. Woolly spin. Oh, he keeps that car very nicely under control. So that will compromise his first run. We've got Kieran right behind him as well in the Red Bull. We shall stay on board with him. Looks like he's definitely had a better run in the first two corners. Taking quite a lot of the curb there. He's caught up. And there is contact. There is contact between the Toro Rosso of Jamie and the Red Bull of Kieran. Kieran's definitely not going to be happy with that result. He's going to have to force him to either pit and get a better tire, a fresher tire, or he will have to do his second run and hope that it doesn't interfere. There is no interference with his second run. Oh, bad luck there for the Red Bull of Kieran. I'm sure that was not intentional by Jamie at all. So we'll just quickly run through the times. As we have 4 minutes left, the guys will be going out to do their second runs at the moment. So we've got Gary with provisional pole with a 134.3, Callum with a 135.0, Pagliottis in third place, and Sister Ferrari with a 135.8. We looking at the McLaren of Kyle, the only McLaren running this evening as well, with a 135.9, and we have Caesar in the point racing sitting in fifth with a 136.5. Willem with the 136.9.3 in sixth place. The sister car of Gregor in the racing point in seventh with a 138.6. We see that Jamie has definitely gone for a second run. It's going to be quite close. I don't think he will be able to get a third run here, so this will have to be his pace lap for this session. And Kieran also having to do a second run and not quite making a third run because there was that collision between the two Honda-powered vehicles. And Stephen also taking it very late to do a qualifying lap. We'll ride on board here with the Red Bull. So with that, we've got Jamie putting himself in fifth with a 136.2, and Kieran comes across the line and he puts himself in ninth place with a 143.88. I wonder if there was any damage to his wing, because that is a low time for Kieran. And the last driver to come through to start his flying lap would be Stephen in the Mercedes-Benz. We will stay on board with Stephen and watch him do his flying lap. It'll be his only flying lap. The guy's waiting for a little bit of rubber to be put down. It is wet conditions. So corner 3 and 4 done. Corner 5 very nice and smooth there by Stephen. Coming to corner 6. Looking comfortable. Nice and even. With a little bit of a wobble there in between that corner. He's kept it under control. We're looking at the times here, so it's still Ferrari, Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, Toro Rosso, Racing Point, Williams, Racing Point, the Red Bull, and like I said, we are waiting for Steven to set his one and only. Well, if he can make it through, he's got 18 seconds to make his trip across the line. Will he make it? I doubt he will. So this will be his only flying lap of the session. As he comes down, pedal hard down to the straight line. And he puts himself in third place. So we have, with the end of the qualifying happening, Gary in pole, provisional pole at the moment. We will stay on board here with Gary as he does his final qualifying lap. Can he improve on his time? I mean, he has set a time of 1:34.5. Interesting times here for the first qualifying session of the Talk of the Devil Season 2. Gary coming around the last corner, looking quite fast. What does he do as he comes across the line? He does a 1:33.565. Oh my word. Well done, Gary Braddon. What have we... Oh, that is setting the pace. Really setting the pace there. 1:33.5 on the Inters. Oh my word. What an impressive time there by Gary. That is putting Callum 1.4 seconds behind him. Oh, and we have contact. We have contact. Oh, that has definitely put Callum. Oh no, the contact between the Red Bull and the Mercedes of Callum. That has definitely put Kieran out of Q3. So if the teams can get his car sorted, he will probably start in 5th. It could also push him down into the last place. Gary Braddon sitting in pole position with a 1:33.5 in the wet conditions. Let's run down the starting order of this qualifying session. Gary Braddon with a 1:33.5, Callum with a 1:35.0. So Ferrari, Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, McLaren, Toro Rosso, Williams, Racing Point, rounding up the top 10 respectively. Ladies and gentlemen, what an interesting qualifying session we just had. Oh my word. Gary pulling out everything in that last run with a 1:33.5. Callum having a really good run, looking good on his, and then colliding with Kieran on the start finish line, and that cost him his flying lap. Oh, and we've got a good fight there. My mic being on mute. Very disappointed myself there. So that fight of the between 10th, 11th and 12th. 12th falling away now. That would be Gareth trying his luck to try and take Hussein down the main straight. Hussein defending very well and keeping his 11th place. He's right on the back of Lee in the Toro Rosso. That gap being 0.4. The sweeping left and right of 11 and 12. DRS active for both the Haas and the Alpha. They won't take a look at. They will just creep up to one another. No passing stages at yet. But as we see Hussein right on the back of the Toro Rosso, it's going to be a fight down the main straight. DRS active for Hussein. DRS active for the Haas. As they slipstream one another, we've got Gareth coming down. Once again trying his luck. Oh, and there's contact. The Haas of Gareth spinning right around. Oh, and Gareth dropping down there to 13th place now. And the McLaren taking up that position of 12th. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it's tight racing here. The car's being very equal within the midfield this year. So it's going to be a lot of bumping. A lot of spins. It's definitely going to push the limits of the drivers within the season this year. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it's what exciting race at the moment. So let's quickly take a look at the order again. We've got Gary Braddon running in first, increasing that gap to 3.4 seconds to Stephen in the Mercedes, and then 4.9 seconds behind is his teammate, the reigning champion Callum. The Ferrari 3.8 seconds behind the Merc. Then it is the Red Bull 5.2 seconds behind. Racing Point of Caesar 7.2 seconds behind the Red Bull. Willem running comfortably in seventh place, with Matt Dixon behind him. In the Renault, we have Gregor in the sister Racing Point in 9th. Hussein has definitely passed Lee for 10th. So that battle, we didn't get that overtake, but that battle coming to a point where Hussein has now clawed his way up from last into 10th. Lee looking unsure about his car in that part of the track. Then in 11th we have Kyle in the McLaren, and Jamie in 11th place in the sister Toro Rosso, and we have the Haas of Gareth down in 14th after that touch between Hussein in the Alpha and corner 1, which sent Gareth around for a spin. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's just give you a rundown of the admin of the Talk of the Devil and their roles. So, running the Talk of the Devil League is our CEO and General Manager, Callum Harrod. Then we have the list of the admin. So for recruitments, interviews, and Academy League management and appeals would be Joe Allen. Extreme One League or the Extreme One League management and website and media admin would be Cesar Lopez. Racing incidents and development is held and done by Stephen Harrison. Development and incidents along with Stephen is Jamie, and we have our apprentice admin Lee. Then we have a new system in reporting racing incidents on the Talk of the Devil League, and how the system works is new racing incident report systems, which is on the website, and the website is www.totracing, all lower caps.com. Ladies and gentlemen, check out the site. It gives you a bio of the races and all the information about the Talk of the Devil League. So like I mentioned, all racing incidents will then be posted on the website and then will be taken a look at by the admin. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's do some facts about the Talk of the Devil League. Once again, I'd just like to thank you for joining us for round 1 of season 2 for the Talk of the Devil main league. We have our sister league, the Academy League, running concurrently with us, and that is also on Twitch. So leagues about the main facts about the main league of the Talk of the Devil. So the drivers' ages of the main league going from 15, Kieran and Luke, to 40 years of age, that being Hussein in the Alpha. Average age being 29 years of age. Drivers per continent, we have 12 Europeans, 6 Americans, and 2 Africans. The Africans being South Africans, and that would be Gary Braden and Willem Brits in the Williams. We see that Willem Brits has now moved his way up into 6th place due to the fact that Kieran has gone into the pits. So far we're looking at Kieran in the Red Bull doing 1 stop. We have Kyle doing 1 stop, probably hitting the wall and forcing him to do a wing change. And we have Jamie that's done a pit stop, who is having a really good battle with Hussein, coming around the corner, down the sweeping long left in the back, and taking 10th place back from Hussein. So 10th looking to be the battle here for that single point, championship point of the the race. Ladies and gentlemen, also to remind you that this year the driver with the fastest lap gets an extra racing world championship point. So that's essentially 21 extra points up for grabs this season. So you will see a lot of drivers pitting and going for fresh tires to try and get that fast lap and that extra point. Matt Dixon and Lee having a good battle there for 13th and 12th, and it looks as if we already have people being lapped. And Gary Braden coming through there, lapping Matt Dixon and the Toro Rosso of Jamie. Gary Braden really looking strong this evening, ladies and gentlemen. That gap increased to 5.4 seconds from second place. As we will take a look here, we've got an incident and looks as if Lee has had some technical issues there, being forced wide to have to let through the front runners, and I think that cost him time, allowing Gareth in the Haas to take 13th place. So at the moment we have Gary running 12 laps on the soft, along with Stephen. Callum going for the medium tyre, so he's definitely going to run a longer stint than the two front runners. Will this strategy pay off for him? He's looking good in third on the medium tyre. We've got a soft for Pagliottis in the sister Ferrari. Caesar running a medium tyre as well. So we've got a Mercedes and a Point Racing going for long stints. 2 laps on the soft at the moment is the Red Bull, really taking the pace into it, therefore taking 6th place back from Willem in the Williams. We have Gregor in the other Racing Point in 7th. He's done 12 laps as well, and he will be doing his 13th lap. An earlier incident with Kyle and the McLaren, so he's now on the soft and has done 10 laps. 11 laps for Jamie on the softs, 13 for Hussein running in 11th. Matt Dixon, he's on his 4th lap with the mediums, and Gareth with the Haas running in 13th and has done 13 laps on that tyre. And we've also got Lee, who is about to be lapped by the Ferrari of Pagliottis. Will he move out of the way and let him through, as he does with the blue flag conditions? If you are joining us and not sure what the blue flags mean, ladies and gentlemen, is blue flags basically come out to let the driver know that there is a faster car coming up and that he is going to be lapped. So I think it is three blue flags waved, and then you get a penalty. So it is imperative that guys do let the top guys come through. So looking at the race stats, reminding you, ladies and gentlemen, that we had a wet qualifying session, so that gave the drivers their choice of tyre to start the race on. And with these with these Pirelli tyres this year, the soft going around about 20 laps, the mediums going for about between I think it's 25 and 35 laps, and then the hards going between 35 and 40 laps. So nobody on the hard tyre as yet, as we ride with Gary Braddon, who is dominating this weekend, putting some really good times in the qualifying sessions, doing a massively brilliant lap in the last qualifying session, Q3, with a 1:33.5. We take a look here, stops. Most of the field still needs to do stops, and we'll take a look at the intervals. So at the moment we have 6 seconds from second place 11 seconds from the leader for third, 20.3 seconds from fourth from first. Caesar is 42.0 seconds from first place, 54.2 seconds from first place for sixth. We have Kyle in seventh place. So him stopping early has definitely put him up in towards the midfield. Willem pitting in there. He is now on the medium tire. Oh, and we have Matt Dixon having a spin, really costing him having a bad race there for Matt Dixon. Luckily stays out of the way of the cars lapping him. He is going to definitely have to go in for a new wing, and that'll force him to have to change tires, and he's dropping down the order. This will allow the Haas of Gareth to catch up to him. He will definitely get him down the last DRS or the second DRS zone, which is down past corner 12. As you can see, the speed difference there, comfortably taking that position. Oh, and Matt comes back. I have no idea what Matt is thinking. He's got a broken wing. I think just letting Gareth know that he's definitely still got the pace. As you can see, the Renault peeling off into the pit lane. We go down the order. So, winter, we have Gary that has lapped 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Oh, and it looks as if... No, I thought someone went off there. So, we're looking at the leader at the moment, who has done 17 laps on the soft tire. Oh, and by the looks of it, we see... We see that Stephen has pitted. Stephen has pitted for the medium tire. This will be quite a long stint for him on the medium tire. That pushes, and Gary Braddon, the race leader, is just coming out of the pits, so that he is coming out in front of the Alpha of Hussein, comfortably keeping the Mercedes-Benz of Stephen behind him. So with the pit stops happening at the moment, we looking at Callum running in first place. Running in first place at the moment. Because he is on the medium tire. So we will take a look. So the gap from first place to second is 10.0 seconds, well 10.1. Bearing in mind that Gary Braddon has the fresher tire, so he should start closing that gap soon once his tires come up to temperature. If you had noticed, ladies and gentlemen, that the game is struggling between the two tires, you can see that the tire color is changing quite a bit on the spectator view between red and yellow. But we look at the table there on the left of your screen. It is at the moment Callum on the medium, Gary on the medium, Stephen on the medium, Caesar running the medium as well, sitting in 4th place. The Red Bull of Kieran running in 5th. He had to come into the pits, came in pitting quite early, so he's on lap 9 of the soft. Comfortably coming there past the Alpha coming out of the pits. So let's take a look at who has done stops. So the only two still to pit would be the Mercedes-Benz of Callum and the Point Racing of Caesar. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is lap 1 of the first round of season 2 at Melbourne, Australia. The beautiful and tough circuit, Albert Park. Just for the guys that are new to the Formula 1 world, Albert Park is essentially a street race. It is a public road when the F1 is not running in the city. It goes around the Albert Park Lake. So with lap 21, we have Callum leading the race to Gary Braddon. Then it is his teammate in the Mercedes-Benz in 3rd place. 4th is Caesar in the Racing Point. 5th is Kieran in the Red Bull, who is within a second of Caesar. We will stay on board with Kieran with this battle. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the F1 season, we had our first wet race in Germany last week, which really put a lot of the drivers to the test because they had not done any racing in the cars through the season until that point in the wet. And we see that Kieran is now right on the back of that Racing Point. He will then come down to the straight finish line. DRS is active. Caesar defending. It's going to be a late lunge down. And he comes on the outside. Does he take it? Oh, he's off the track. And it's defended very well there by Caesar. Having to force Kieran off the track there. Gary Braddon has now closed that gap down to 7.7 seconds to the race leader. And we've got contact there, and that is pushed now Caesar into the wall. He definitely has some wing damage there. And now it is a battle for 4th place between the Ferrari and the Red Bull of Kieran. The Ferrari comfortably taking 4th there. But Kieran coming back with DRS down the inside. And it's late braking by both drivers. Oh, it's a really good battle side by side. And Pagliottis taking that position back. Kieran playing a very clever game there. And we have a driver that is there. Could that play a role? Oh, and forcing Kieran wide. Not having to have contact there. and that allows the Ferrari to take a bit of a break and open up a bit of a gap there. So if you have to look at it, it is still a tight battle here for fourth place between Kieran and the Ferrari of Panagliotis. I see that we have a Toro Rosso there having a tussle with the Red Bull. And if we look at that, I don't understand why he is having his battle with with Kieran. I mean, he is essentially a lap down. He really, if you look at this, he's not in a battle with Kieran at all. I think he really just needs to make sure of which battles he's willing to fight. So eighth people that have been lapped is all the way up to 8th place at the moment, and we see that Callum has come in for his pit stop, and Gary Braden has now got the lead of the race with a 7.3 second gap from second. Gary really looking like he's on it for this season. So, getting back to F1 news, that race in Germany being extremely exciting with the rain. A couple of highlights for you that I'd like to talk about. So, the first person to fall victim of the wet weather was Sergio Perez in the point racing. He was the first of the drivers to go out, spinning around in corner 12, if I'm not mistaken, just giving it a little bit too much gas, and it was a driver error and hitting the wall. So that was the first of the couple of drivers that went out. Then on lap 19, we had Carlos Sainz having a bit of a pearl wet spin in the final corner, luckily keeping it out of the wall and carrying on to finish in 5th place for that race. Then something interesting, ladies and gentlemen, not something that happens very often, but Lewis Hamilton having 2 spins during that race. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, the German race being the second of the home races for Mercedes-Benz, and they were actually the sponsors for this year's race at Hockenheim. So Lewis Hamilton spinning twice in that race, and the second time he came spun off, he collided, had a bit of a colliding with the wall. Luckily he kept it rolling, and then he went in for a pit stop because he had damaged his front wing. But when he went into the pits, he went in past the pit lane entrance bollard, which ended up giving him a penalty. With that incident happening, he came into the pit lane, pulled into the box. The team were actually ready for his teammate Valtteri Bottas, and it ended up being quite chaotic with that pit stop, them not having the right tires, and Mercedes-Benz celebrating 125 years of racing within the Formula One industry, or 125 years within racing, sorry. So there was a lot of heritage in racing with Mercedes-Benz, and they had what can I say, costumes, if I can call them that, like really old school outfits to celebrate this 125 year anniversary. and they really showed that pit stops were a lot longer back then as well. That pit stop being, I think, 50 or 55 seconds long. And then right at the beginning of that race, the two Red Bulls not getting away on the line. If you had watched the beginning of the race, you would have seen that Max Verstappen basically just stood still on his grid position, spinning those wheels, both of the Red Bulls falling down in the order of the pack. So that pushed Gasly quite far down into the order, and then Max Verstappen coming down to 8th place. But because of the wet race, you definitely saw the more experienced drivers come in. I mean, Kimi Raikkonen on that first lap was up to 3rd place. The Iceman, cool and calm and really enjoying the weather, came up to 3rd place in the Alfa Romeo. The experience playing in there. As you can see, the younger drivers really struggling with the conditions. And then in lap 28, we had Charles Leclerc, the new driver for Ferrari this year, partnering up with Sebastian Vettel. You remember him, he was in the Sauber Alfa Romeo last year. He's moved up to Ferrari. He went out in lap 28. Basically also the last corner, hitting that skid pan at Hockenheim, which is extremely slippery in wet conditions, and just basically looking like he was on ice, and then had a collision with the wall. So that was a safety car incident. I mean, the safety car came out, I think, 4 or 5 times during that race. So while under safety car conditions, Lewis Hamilton actually spinning out the second time on lap 30. So yes, that pushed Hamilton down to 14th place, if I'm not mistaken. Then on lap 46, we had some brilliant racing there on the hairpin, with 4 drivers being in that tussle. The 4 drivers being Alex Albon in the Toro Rosso, Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes-Benz, Carlos Sainz in the McLaren, and then Gasly in the Red Bull. And that was coming up to the hairpin. So there's quite a few different shots, but the shot I really do enjoy is the shot from Carlos Sainz's car in the McLaren, where he's right on the back end of Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes-Benz, who's also right on the back of Alex Albon, and they come down the long sweeping straight into the hairpin at Hockenheim. The Mercedes-Benz being side by side with the Toro Rosso of Albon, and then Sainz coming in with a sneaky shot on the apex of the hairpin next to Hamilton. So there were 3 wide at one stage in the hairpin, and then as they came out of the hairpin, you had Sainz challenging McLaren, Sainz in the McLaren challenging Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes for position, and then Gasly coming in and sneaking a bit of a sniff at Albon in that Pacific lap, taking the position, and then I think Albon finding his way and then overtaking Gasly, and then later on in the race, Gasly coming up for a pass and mistiming his move, and then clipping the back wheel of Alex Albon, and then that which that then took his front wing off, which got stuck underneath the car and basically lifted it up the front end, and then Gasly had to retire of the race. And then we'll talk about the race that Sebastian Vettel had in the Ferrari. Sebastian Vettel not making it through Q3 on the Saturday, so he ended up starting last place in 20th position and having a brilliant race, coming from 20th into second position. I mean, that's definitely given the Ferrari driver some of a confidence boost coming into this weekend's Hungary race at the Hungaroring. But I mean, from 20th position into second, yes, there was that safety car in the last couple of laps, which allowed the Ferrari driver to really catch up and pass the racing point of Lance Stroll and the Toro Rosso of Danny Kvyat for... Oh, and we have a spin. We have a spin. So that is Callum. That is Callum. Callum having a spin there. He was running in second, and now that has pushed his teammate into steaming up into second. A bit of he must have clipped the grass there by the reigning champion. He's got wing damage that's going to force him to pit. He does have a 42-second gap from the Ferrari Panigiotis. So that is essentially a pit stop gap. I mean, pit stops here in Australia at Albert Park ranging, I think, from 15 to 20 seconds. So he should come out comfortably in third. We will stay with this with the Mercedes-Benz as he comes down, pit limiter on, 60 kilometers down this pit straight, and we watch the team going to work on the change of the front wing for Callum. He's coming out. Where is Panigiotis in the Ferrari? He's coming down the last corner as it's crawling down. Does he come out? Panigiotis takes third place from Callum. Callum being on the medium tire. Let's take a look here. And Callum also having the fastest lap at the moment with a 1:24.4. So what tires do we have running at the moment? Tires. So Panigiotis is on the softer tire, 13 laps, and Callum is on the medium with a fresh tire after pitting because he had clipped the grass and into the wall, so he had to change his wing. Being on the fresher tire, I think he should be able to catch the Ferrari of Panigiotis. Let's quickly go give you a rundown of the order at the moment. So we've got Gary running in first place in the Ferrari. We have Stephen running in second with the Mercedes-Benz. The Ferrari of Panigiotis taking third place because Callum hitting the wall and having to change the front wing of that Mercedes-Benz. Callum now running in fourth place. Fifth place we have Kieran, And in 6th place in the Racing Point, we have Caesar. 7th place, we see that it is the McLaren of Kyle. 8th place would be Willem running in the Williams. Doing very well with that Williams, I must say. In 9th place, we have the sister car Point Racing of Gregor. 10th place, we've got Jamie. 11th place, we've got Hussein. In 14th, we've got Gareth in the Haas. 13th, we have Matt Dixon, and somewhere along the line, we have Lee Evans. Lee run that is out of the race, the only retiree at the moment. So we see that Callum has definitely pulled in that gap and taken 3rd place back from the Ferrari of Panagliotis. The fresher tyre definitely coming into play there. So, looking at the stops, Gary Bradham has done 1 stop. Stephen has done 1 stop. Callum had to do his 2nd stop quite early. The Ferrari Panagliotis has done 1 stop. Kieran has done 2. Caesar's done 1. Kyle has done 2. Willem has done 2. Willem has done 1 stop. I do apologize. We've got Gregor that's done 1. Jamie doing 2 stops. And Hussein and Gareth also doing 1 stop. And then Matt Dixon having an awful race, if I must say this. Running in 13th at the moment, who's done 3 stops. So, position changes at the moment from the start of the race is Stephen going up 1 place, swapping positions with his teammate. The winner in that opening stint at the moment with 3 paces gained at this present moment is Caesar. And then the biggest loser there would be Jamie, who has lost 3 positions. We've also got 3 positions made up by Hussein as well. So let's see. 7th, all the way up to 7th has been lapped. We're on lap 36, ladies and gentlemen, of the first round of the Talk of the Devil league. This is the main league. We've also got our sister league, the Academy League, running at the same time. Where are the... Let's see, intervals. I see everybody's pretty much spread out at the moment. Although the only battle going on here is between Kieran and Panagliotis. Once again, the Red Bull and Ferrari drivers having a good battle here for 4th and 5th place respectively. We will stay with this battle. As we can see, Panagliotis having the DRS, which should help him catch up to the Red Bull. I've got to mention that these cars do sound so much better than the last game of the series, which is the 2018 version. The Ferrari motor probably sounding, for myself, the best sounding car on the circuit, with the Red Bull sounding really nice in the, with that Honda powered motor. Also, we have engine changes happening throughout the teams. So McLaren opted to go for the Renault motor this year, and Red Bull opted to go with the Honda powered motors in 2019. And if you've been following the season, the Formula One season, you will have noticed that the Honda motors got their first podium position in 23 years, if I'm not mistaken, today, with Max Verstappen taking pole position in Hungary, and then the two Mercedes-Benz behind him being Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton. So back to the last race in Germany. Oh, this battle between for fourth and fifth, hotting up here as they come up to a back marker. That back marker, I'm sure, being Gregor. So we were talking about Sebastian Vettel. So Vettel, like I said, having a brilliant race and probably giving him some really good confidence coming into Hungary, going from 20th to second place. I have to mention it, with the weather being the way it was in Hungary, it definitely mixed up the grid, giving Daniel Kvyat a podium position in third, and he also became a father, with his daughter being born the day before, on the Friday. And then Lance Stroll having the best result of his F1 career so far, finishing in fourth for Racing Point, formerly known as Force India. And then Carlos Sainz in the McLaren, and we see that Kieran is a lot closer this time to Panagliotis. So Sainz coming in fifth place, with the Renault, and then we get to the winner of the German Grand Prix, Max Verstappen. This is the first race where we've had the winner of the race come into the pits 5 times during the course of the race, and Max Verstappen also spinning in the stadium section as well. It was a tricky race with changeable conditions, the teams going between the medium tires, the wet tire, the intermediates, then onto the medium tire, which is the yellow stripe. Then they switched back onto the inters, and then towards the end of the race, most people were on the soft red tire. Got to mention that the first team to really come through and put on the softs were a Racing Point with Lance Stroll. They did 20 laps on the soft tires in those really weird... Oh, and Panagliotis going wide there. It's a bit of contact there from Kieran on the back end of Panagliotis. Let's just hope there's no contact here, because this is a really nice battle to be watching at the moment. So, talking about Racing Point, they did those 20 laps on the softs, which at one stage they were running in third. They were running for the last podium position, but like I said, that last safety car bunching up the pack and allowing Sebastian Vettel with the faster, better powered Ferrari to then take second place, and then pushing Kvyat down into third, and Lance Stroll into fourth. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is lap 40 of 58 here at the Albert Park circuit in Melbourne, Australia. We have 18 laps left of this first round of the season. We've got Gary Braden running in first place to Stephen in the Mercedes-Benz. We've got Callum running in third. We've got a really good battle between fourth and fifth here, between Panagliotis in the Ferrari, and we also see that Kieran is battling him in the Red Bull. I see that gap has increased. Can the Red Bull keep that Ferrari within that DRS zone? I see he is dropping back a little bit. He's definitely out of the DRS zone, being 1.3 seconds behind. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, the DRS is active when you are within a second of the car in front of you. So, Panagliotis is having third at this present moment in time. Kieran in fourth. Down in sixth we have Caesar. In seventh we've got the McLaren of Kyle. In eighth the Williams of Willem. Gregor getting out of the way there for Gary Braden so that he can get lapped. Gary Braden being on fire today, ladies and gentlemen. Gregor in the sister point racing car running in 9th. Jamie running in 10th. Is this... But he is... So Jamie is the only one on the hard tyre, so he will definitely make it through to the finish. And we see Caesar is now on the soft tyre. I think he will be pushing for the fastest lap. Let's just go over here and watch his times. So Max Verstappen, we were discussing him. We were discussing him with the regards to last week's German Grand Prix. Yes, yeah, this is... Oh, and we have a position change here. We see the point going in. We see Willem has also come out with the red tyre. He's kept his 8th place. He is on the fresher tyre and the softer tyre, so he should open that gap from Jamie quite easily. As you can see, it's already started increasing. So let's just take a look at these lap times. At the moment, we've still got Kieran holding the fastest lap with a 1:24.420. What are we looking at? He's definitely up on his time. Is Caesar. I saw there was a 0.11 or 0.01. I think he's 1/100th of a second up on his time. He probably will be pushing quite hard. You can see on the display that his battery is quite low. DRS having to be worked on quite hard in 2019 game, along with fuel. because in 2018 you could actually run 2 laps on ERS with hot lap setting. In 2019, some of the tracks it actually doesn't quite last the whole lap. So we see him come through across the line doing a 1:26.43. And Stephen just coming in there with a 1:23.995. So Stephen having the fastest lap at the moment, but you can see he is on the soft tire. I see Gary also came in for a pit. He's also going to be pushing for that fastest lap. We will stay on board with the race leader. Gary has been pushing out some extraordinary laps. So let's see what the Ferrari driver in his classic number 13 number on that car can give us. He's 1/100th of a second, almost 200ths up on his time. Sector 3 being quite windy. Hard on the brakes here for the penultimate corner. Now it's getting this last corner right. Hits his apexes quite nicely. Runs some curb. That out to the line. And he pulls out a 1:25.82. Not quite fast enough. But I'm sure he'll be pushing in for that lap this time around. Who else have we got on the soft tire? We've got Caesar. He's on lap 3 of that soft tire. I don't think he'll be able to do a fast lap. We've got Willem. Willem being the ORLSA champion of last season with them. So and we have one of our spectators leaving the group or the lobby. So looking at this, Willem in the Williams, he comes down to the line 1:23, 1:24, 1:25. He does a 1:26. That's actually not bad. He's up on his time by 300ths of a second. But at this moment, we still have the Mercedes. Oh, and Gary comes up with the fastest time of a 1:23.681. I'm sure he had the DRS to help him there, and a bit of a slipstream from that Haas, which is powered by the Ferrari motor. So Gary Brennan at this present moment holding the fastest lap. Let's just take a look at the intervals here. Everybody's pretty much spread out. Nobody really fighting for position. But can you believe that lap from Gary Braden? A 1:23.681. That man is on a mission. He really worked his way up, from what I understand, in the first season of the Talk of the Devil earlier this year. He worked his way up from Red Bull into his current seat at Ferrari. Talking about seats and goodies, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to give you a rundown of the team managers and what teams they will be managing and the driver positions within the team. Right, so we've got Ashley, who will be managing McLaren and Williams. So for McLaren, we have Luke, who will be driver number 1, and Kyle being driver number 2. Let's give some airtime to, or some viewing time to Matt Dixon here, who is running behind the Ferrari of Panagliotis. Or is that Gary Braden lapping him? No, that is definitely... Oh, that corner 12. That is definitely Panagliotis going past him. As we take a look at Gary once again quickly. Just want to take a look and see what his time is looking up as he comes around the tight left-hander. And it's this right-hander. Very easy to get your line wrong there. No, definitely not increasing his time. We haven't had much screen time of Hussein. Ladies and gentlemen, I did an interview with Hussein a couple of, a good couple of hours ago in the practice session. But let's get back to the teams and managers. So like I said, Ashley is managing McLaren and Williams. Luke being driver 1 and Kyle being driver 2. Willem and Jorge. Jorge being driver 1 and Willem being driver 2 for Williams. We've got the Alphas, Alfa Romeo. Devon being driver 1 and Hussein being driver 2. Jimmy and Gareth for Haas. Gareth being driver 1 and Jimmy being driver 2. And those two teams are being managed by Ben. Phil will be managing the 2 Honda-powered cars on the calendar this year, or this season, and that is the Red Bull and Toro Rosso. Kieran being driver 1 and Dean being driver 2 for Red Bull. Toro Rosso being Jamie being driver 1 and Lee being driver 2. Then we've got James managing Ferrari and Renault. So for Ferrari, we've got Gary Braden being driver number 1 and Panagliotis being driver 2. As we watch Ferrari lapping the Alfa Romeo. And for Renault, we have Chris and Matt. Chris being driver number 1 and Matt Dixon being driver 2 for that team. And Scott will be managing the last 2 teams. That will be Racing Point and Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz drivers being Callum, the reigning world champion, driver number 1, and his teammate from last season, Stephen, being driver 2. Then the last of the teams is Racing Point, and those drivers are Caesar being driver number 1 and Gregor in the sister point being driver 2. We are on lap 49 as we're going to start lap 50, ladies and gentlemen, of this 58 lap here in Melbourne, Australia, for the first round of the Talk of the Devil League. We've got 8 laps left, and we can take a look at these times set by the drivers. You'll also notice that there's been a couple of changes in liveries. Rich Energy being a sponsor of Haas, so they've gone for the gold, the black and gold livery. It reminds me quite a lot of the livery of the JPS era, which would have been Lotus. So 8 laps left. So Gary Braden holding the fastest lap at the moment with a 1:23.681, and the closest being to him would be Stephen with a 1:23.995. Also, back in some media news, Hulkenberg for Renault, also one of the retirees within the German Grand Prix, also skidding across that very slippery skid pan at the German track. He ended up being in the wall, but that wasn't the end of Renault's woes. On the way to the Hungaroring, one of their team trucks ended up having an accident as well. Luckily, the driver wasn't injured. There was a press statement released by Renault saying the driver was fine. Unfortunately, we don't know if there was any damage to any of the equipment being transported in that Pacific truck. At least nobody was hurt. So we will also quickly run down the numbers or car numbers of each of the drivers. So we will start with the two Aston Martin Red Bull drivers, Dean Harrison running number 12 on his car, and the sister Red Bull will be car number 15, Kieran. Jimmy for Haas running his 34, and 81 being on the sister Haas for Gareth. We now move over to the Point Racing team, which is Caesar running his 53 number, and number 35 being on the sister Racing Point car being Gregor. We have Chris and Matt for Renault. Chris running 64 and Matt running 69. The only team that I see there that run in the same kind of within the 60 zones. Then we move over to McLaren, Luke and Kyle. Luke sporting a 54 on his car, and Kyle with the sister McLaren having 82 on it. We move over to the red team, Ferrari, who are also running a matte livery this year, saving a little bit of extra weight on the car, like Red Bull have been running over the last couple of years, a matte design. So under artificial light, the Ferrari actually does look very orange, but in natural light, as you can see on the screen, looking very red. So talking about the car numbers, you know that the leader at the moment, Gary Braddon, he is running his car, his lucky number 13, and his teammate within the team, Panagliotis, running 51 on his car. Then down to the Toro Rossos, James and Lee. Jamie running number 14 on his car, and Lee running 32. The two Williams drivers, Willem having 68 and Jorge running 29. Then we move over to the sister Ferrari-powered team, Alfa Romeo, Hussein running 49 and Devon running the number 2. And the last of the 10 teams, Mercedes-Benz, Callum, the world champion, reigning world champion, he is running the number 6, and on the sister car is the number 47. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have 4 more laps of this. And as I look up, we have Callum coming in there with a 1:22.878 to take fastest lap. You can see that he is also on the fresher tire. I also see Matt Dixon, who came in for a pit stop to try and challenge for that extra championship point. That's got to gut Gary. That's really got to gut Gary with that fastest lap going to the reigning world champion. A 1:22.878. And we see the McLaren of Kyle coming into the pits. Is he going to... has he got wing damage, or is he literally just coming in to get a fresh set of tires? Yeah, that's just a fresh set of tires. I see the guys are going for the fastest lap within the last couple of laps of this Australian GP round 1 of the Talk of the Devil main league. Let's see. We're on lap 55 of this 58 lap. We will keep a lookout on these lap times. At the moment, we have Callum holding on to that extra championship point within the season. Right, who's on the fresh tires? So Matt Dixon has done a 1:25.9, definitely off the pace there. I will be riding on board with the McLaren, as I know Kyle has got some pace out of that car. Will he be doing the fastest lap? You can see by his ERS, which is the yellow bar at the bottom right corner of your screen. And he comes across the line. He's only done a 1:33.5. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is lap 56. 2 more laps to go of round 1 of the Talk of the Devil League here in Melbourne, Australia. It being the capital, sporting capital or sporting mecca of Australia, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, holding the MCG, the Australian Open Tennis, and the Formula One. The only city to do that. Right, so we are watching the McLaren of Kyle. We will just see if he can improve on that time. Coming around, hitting the brakes hard for that left-hander, then coming around to the last corner, pushing it. Now he's definitely off the time there, not enough ERS. We will now move up to the top of the... Oh, and we have a late pitter. We have a late pitter. We will see if we can stay on board with Stephen, who has now pitted on the soft tire. He will be going for that fastest lap on the last lap of the race. Where is Gary Braddon? He is coming around corner 12. He's about halfway down through the lap. He will be starting his final lap now soon. So we shall stay on board with Gary on the final lap of Australia here at Albert Park Circuit This has been the first round of the Talk of the Devil League. This is the main league. We had the sister league, the Academy League, running at the same time. That wonderful color 13 really popping in white against that black on the Ferrari of Gary Braden. And as we look, he is coming up to his teammate. Will Gary Braden be able to lap his teammate on the last lap of the race? I don't think so. There is a massive gap there. So it's looking as if we've got a yellow flag in Sector 3. Who would that be? I'm not sure it'd be. Gary comes around. He's heading towards the fastest two corners of this track, which is corner 11 and 12, the sweeping corners. Looking very comfortable there. He is catching his teammate. It's going to look very good for the pictures to see the two Ferraris basically finishing one after the other. As Gary comes around the last corner for the last time. Gary, ladies and gentlemen, Gary Braden wins Australia round 1 of the Talk of the Devil League Season 2. Well done to Gary Braden. He's taken first position. Then we've got Stephen coming around to do his last lap. He's also on the soft tire. I think he will be pushing for that fastest lap, which his teammate Callum has got at the moment with a 1:22.8. He comes around the penultimate corner, around the last corner. He pushes it down, DRS at hot lap, and he comes across the line. And what does he do? He takes the fastest lap with a 1:22.5. Oh my greatness. What a lap by Stephen. We're also here on board now with his teammate Callum, the reigning world champion. Looked a little bit scruffy there on that second last corner, but he comes down on the line. What does he pull out? And he takes a 1:21, a 1:22.1. Oh my word. Callum in the 1:22.1 mark to take fastest lap of the race. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been the first round of the Talk of the Devil League Season 2. It has been quite an interesting one, a wet qualifying session and a dry track. Gary being in control of the race most of the way, and there we can see that it's Ferrari sandwiched between the two Mercedes-Benz as we watch the two drivers, the drivers celebrating. So let's quickly take a look at the standings. Gary Braden coming in first, the two Mercedes-Benz in second and third, Ferrari fourth, Red Bull fifth, Racing Point sixth, the McLaren seventh, Racing Point again in 8th, Williams in 9th, then Matt Dixon taking the final championship point in 10th. 11th, we've got the Toro Rosso of Jamie, Gareth in the Haas in 12th, Hussein in 13th, and last place is the Toro Rosso of Jamie. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been an exciting first race of the season. I hope you enjoyed it along with myself. Please stay on the line as we will then do interviews with the top 3 drivers as I quickly get them into the party. Let's just see if we can get these guys into the party here. for the post-race interviews. All right, so let's just do that. And where is Gary? Where is Gary Bellin? Where is Gary? Gary is quite fast out of the... Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening.
Evening.
Gentlemen, just give me a second. I will be with you in 2
I don't know what. Yeah, done it.
All right, gentlemen. Sorry for that. I was just got a call from Gary Braddon. Unfortunately, his internet has failed, and he had to drop out of the post-race interviews.
Oh, that's
a shame.
So, gentlemen, the first round done and dusted. That was an exciting first round, being wet quali, and that definitely shook a few things up. What did you guys think about the qualifying sessions?
all right. I'll let you go, Callum, because you were fast.
The qualifying's always interesting in the wet, especially for the first race of the season, new game. So it was always going to be difficult, but I think that the first Q1 and Q2, sort of Steve was tiptoeing around a little bit, which is understandable.
Yes.
Got to Q3 and he managed to set a half decent time after a few little mistakes on his outlap. But yeah, it's difficult for me to sort of talk about qualifying because my last qualifying lap, Q3,
Yes,
I was extremely close to that pole position looking at my delta. Come round the last corner and there was a roadblock.
Yes, you ended up collecting the Red Bull of Kieran on that last flying lap, and if I remember correctly, I was looking at your stream. You were, I think, 100ths up on Gary's time there.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
it would
I knew
have
it was going to be very, very tight, but it was, yeah, it's frustrating. So I don't know why or how Kieran's managed to get that Red Bull sideways there, right on the racing line,
Yeah,
but
very,
just
very
unfortunate timing for
unfortunate,
myself.
Yes, definitely very unfortunate. And then I have to give you the congratulations. You are collecting that extra championship point for setting a blistering time of 1:22.1.
Yeah, I mean, me and Steve had some quite good fun with that. During my second stint, I went onto the softs.
Trading times there.
Yeah, so my second stint, I went onto the softs and was gaining massively on Gary. I think I was closing by just over a second a lap. Got the gap down to 4.2 with another sort of 8 laps to go before our pit stops. So it would have put me quite comfortably in the lead. And yeah, I was stupid, made a little bit of an error, touched the grass and slid into the wall, meaning I had damage. So I boxed and was just going to finish the race on the mediums, and then noticed that I had enough spare time to make a pit stop and go onto the softs to go for the fastest lap. So I did that, got the fastest lap, and then with 2 laps to go, Steve suddenly ducked into the pits to go for the fastest lap, and I was like, whoa, I ain't having none of that. So I ducked in straight after him. So yeah, we had a good little laugh about that, and that last lap really was just me and Steve trying to go for that fastest lap, which was it was good fun.
Was enjoyed it.
Really fun to watch. Stephen, let me just quickly give you a couple of questions. How was the start of your race? I saw that you kind of dropped down to fourth and then had a good tussle there with the McLaren of
Not me.
Kyle.
Not me.
No, that was me.
Oh, was that? Oh, yes. You then ended up chasing Gary right from the beginning there. Yes. I do apologize. So how was the start of your race, Steve?
To be honest, I got a good start. I kind of kept on Gary, but it was literally like from the second lap. He was 2 tenths, 3 tenths quicker than me, literally every lap. Most of it.
I see.
And the back end.
Steve.
But yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was just a little bit quicker today. It's, he must like the track. It's not an excuse, but I didn't get much practice, to be honest, and I did go a bit safer on the setup because I'd not had much practice. But be ready for the next one.
Well, definitely. You guys definitely put on a show for the guys that were watching this stream tonight. Gentlemen, final thoughts about the race? Callum?
Frustration more than anything else, really. Knowing that in that second stint, if I hadn't have made that mistake, I could have quite happily taken a win. But I think overall, as a team, it's a great result. Gets us off to a very good start for the constructors, and I think first and foremost that's got to be at the forefront of our mind. So yeah, overall happy with the team result, but disappointed in myself.
Well, you've definitely got the third place championship point, so don't put yourself down too much. Steve, your last thoughts?
Yeah, good race. Good race from our boys in our teams as well as the other teams. Unlucky for Callum. I feel like him and Gary would have been pretty close near the end. They were both quicker than me, to be honest, around Australia. Not my favourite track, but it goes on. But like Callum said, championship points in the bag, second and third. Keeps us in front. First race, so we'll see how we get on after 5 or 6 races. See where we are between each other in points, and we'll go from there.
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me for the post-race interviews. Unfortunately, Gary Braddon, our winner, had technical issues and couldn't join us for that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching the first round of the Talk of the Devil main league. We also had our sister league, the Academy League, running at the same time, and hopefully we will be able to give you information about that as the videos get uploaded to pages respectively. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining myself, Ivan Dalport, for the stream. I wish you good night, and we shall see you for round 2 in Bahrain.
Yeah, good night. Bye.
Cheers.